And as I mentioned, Manchester United up to 9th now after a 4-0 win over Everton. Did they impress you today, Janusz? And I assume that they did. In what ways?
Well, again, they did. Although in the first half there were long periods of time when they were sloppy. In fact, I was quite surprised how much room and how well Everton played. If you remember the first half, I don't know, about 15, 20 minutes in the middle of it, I think Amorim was going crazy there a little bit because his team was not intense, was very, very sloppy with possession of the ball, and of course all that changed. You know, they say goals change the game. They certainly do, but. Look, I look at this Manchester United and I look at Amorim, who can finally say, I mean, he's been there about 3 or 4 games, but he can kind of say, okay, now I'm starting, the way I look at him, he's kind of telling all the players, giving them benefit of the doubt and saying, okay, I'll give you a chance to show me that you belong here, right? And I looked at that team and as we all knew, right? I mean, the strikers weren't scoring goals. I mean, look at today, even Zirkzee has 2 goals, right? He's a player that had 1 goal. Højlund didn't even play after a great game midweek, and don't tell me that he wasn't ready here. I think this was a conscious decision, unless we don't know something about him, right? Maybe they're, small injuries. But anyway, somebody like Zirkzee that in the media has been already sold in January, Amorim came out and saying, no chance, I'm going to commit to him. He's committed to him, score goals, right? Rashford has got 2 goals. So now you have strikers scoring goals. Now the system is for everyone to see, right? The 3 in the back, the midfield. Look, Amorim bet on Diallo, where Erik ten Hag wouldn't. It's paying off. I mean, he was absolutely tremendous. Now you can, in defense of Erik ten Hag, you can say he found Mainu. And I'll tell you what, Amorim's taking advantage of that, because that midfield today, with his mobility, with his intensity on both sides of the ball, because never mind what he did forward, but I mean, his recovery runs were tremendous. That changes that midfield completely, right? Because up until now, you're kind of getting through Ruud van Nistelrooy with Eriksen and Casemiro, where you know that this is not going to be good enough long term. When I say long term, even this season. So slowly but surely, he's kind of letting players know, like Rashford, like Zirkzee, like Højlund, this is how we're going to play. He's arguably, it's very, very early, but a win like this today against anybody, it's convincing and very much needed, especially in front of the home supporters.
Elemi, the 3 of us, when Amorim was appointed, did a kind of deep dive on Manchester United under Amorim and what might change. And one of the questions that I asked was, who's going to be the biggest beneficiary? And we spoke about Bruno Fernandes, we spoke about maybe Diallo, who play in a more advanced role. None of us spoke about Marcus Rashford. He's taking his chances with both hands, isn't he? After starting the season with 1 goal in 11 games, that's another couple for him today. So why did we not see this as potentially a possibility that he could be the biggest beneficiary of the new system?
Well, we did, because I think you asked also, who can benefit or might not benefit. And I think we mentioned the forward attacking mining players, and Rashford was one of them. And it was on the week when he went to New York City and watched the Knicks, and people were criticizing him for doing that. And ultimately, really, it's just about what Ruben Amorim can do from day one with him. But you're right in pointing him out, because this was a player that really needed something. And we did say, hopefully he can be, Amorim mainly, be the man that can help him do that. Part of it is the formation. It allows Marcus Rashford to really be more direct in this situation. The other one is the opponent. Everton are not exactly the toughest team in the Premier League. But from that piece that I wrote in terms of predicting the first 11 matches for Ruben Amorim, and you mentioned it as well, MD, last week, which is about momentum in these first 3 games, because they were very doable. And that's exactly what you're seeing today on this game, based on what you saw as well against Bodo Glimt, and even in the first game against Ipswich. Just build confidence, build an understanding of the system, and Marcus Rashford has benefited from that. He's been a major benefactor, and as like Janusz said, Amad Diallo as well. He's been absolutely wonderful. So now you have 3 matches where they haven't lost a game. They've just gotten their best result under Amorim in the Premier League, and now they're going to play against Arsenal. We don't know what could happen. Of course, Arsenal are the favorites in that game. But what at least you have now is a Manchester United that's confident, that has something from the back of Ruben Amorim's arrival, and hopefully can get something out of it. And this is exactly what Amorim wanted. Just build confidence, build an identity. And Marcus Rashford has been one of the main benefactors.
I just felt there's a different atmosphere at Old Trafford. And Janusz, it was a bit similar, wasn't it, to the Leicester game after Ten Hag had gone. They played with a kind of freedom. Now, the common denominator here is both opposition, Leicester and Everton, were hopeless to an extent. They lost 3-0 and 4-0. And as LME points out, Arsenal's more of a litmus test than Leicester at home and Everton at home. But Man United fans, those of them of a certain vintage who just remember success with Sir Alex, that was 2013. They've had kind of 11 years where it's not gone according to plan. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, Janusz, because you don't go from a 13th place, looking over your shoulder, who's below us team, to suddenly going, everything in the garden is rosy. But it's nice, from a neutral perspective, to watch a game involving Man United and see the fans totally buying into what they're doing, because it's been a while since they were like that.
Yeah, I think part of that, I don't want to get ahead of my skis here, and neither should Manchester United, right? Because, let's be honest. The bar has been so low. For a club like Manchester United, the bar was on the ground. It was that low. Because even now, Ruben Amorim knows how much the squad still needs, how much help he needs. And I'll tell you why, and he was also a great opponent from the standpoint that his system fit right away. At first, I didn't think so, right? Because when you think about 3-4-3, or when you think about wing backs, right? None of those guys, for me, are true wing backs. Maybe Garnacho could be, Diallo sort of, but the beauty of it is how Amorim knew about that, right? Even when players coming back, if Malacias comes back, nobody can tell me that Diallo is your proper wing back, right? He's a very good player that can play very many positions well, but this is not a perfect position for him, because wingback still has to have the ability to take players one-on-one, go to the byline. The beauty of it is that we always thought that it's going to be one striker and two players in behind, but it's not that, because I think Amorim recognized the fact that these guys are not true wingbacks, so they're played very wide. You look at Fernandes. He was often on the left-hand side of that front three, and so was Rashford, right? So you can you have a hybrid of a wing back and a striker that, if one brings the ball up and can't do it any longer, there's always that chance for the other to step in, be it Rashford, Garnacho, or Bruno Fernandes, and finish the job, if you will. Or it creates those overlapping runs that we saw. Diallo and Rashford's, I believe, was third goal. So I think that system, the manager itself was important. I thought it was a great choice because many were talking about him. But I think for the time being, to get United to where you were saying, Mark, to that next level, he was absolutely perfect. But what do they have? Arsenal? We'll find out. As I said, this is just the beginning. We've talked about Chelsea. I think Chelsea are further ahead of Manchester United. It seems to me that way. I know it's crazy, but it seems that way. And I think if you see Amorim and you look at Sporting when he was there, I think you're going to see players in the wide positions that are just do so much work on both sides of the ball that it's absolutely crazy, because he needs players like that. I don't think he has them yet.
I was looking, LME, at Joshua Zirkzee's career so far. He's still young, and he's only had kind of two main seasons with double-digit goals. He had one for Bayern Munich under 19s coming through the ranks. Then he had one at Anderlecht, and then last season at Bologna. When he signed, a lot of people were saying they've signed a striker. Have they signed a second striker? Have they signed a +1 to a striker? Or have they signed someone that they'll be looking to as a focal point along with Højlund for goals?
Yeah, this is going to be a test for him now in the next few matches, because this brace was the first time he scored after 11 games. That's a very big drought. So now he has to keep going. But again, everything points to the fact that if any player in that starting 11 needs confidence, it's the striker. So if Zirkzee can get a brace, regardless of the opponent, and if he can build on this, then that's alleviating a lot of headaches for Ruben Amorim coming in, especially in January as well. But we don't know yet. But to your point, what he's done in the past, especially for Bologna, shows that he could be that person, especially because you're seeing the likes of somebody like Amad Diallo just bombing down the wingback and helping push the offensive line go forward. Joshua Zirkzee is going to be the player that benefits from that, specifically from that formation. It's still only 3 games. There's still big tests coming, specifically with the next one against Arsenal. But strikers need confidence. They need goals to build confidence. That's exactly what Zirkzee has. If he can continue to build this, especially in such a busy period as December, then that's great, because that will, like I said, alleviate a lot of what could maybe do the business for Manchester United in January.
So United win very comfortably, and they were excellent today against a poor Everton side. But you've still got to beat what's in front of you, and there weren't many failures for United. So Chelsea win, Manchester United win. The final game in the early stages, and we'll get you done before Liverpool against Man City kicks off at the top of the hour. Spurs won, Fulham won. 10-man Fulham getting a point. Janusz, Spurs losing certain games that they're expected to win, winning certain games that they're expected to lose, not beating Ipswich at home, winning at Man City, and now drawing at home to Fulham. Help me work them out, please.
I can't. I don't know who they are, what they are. I don't think they do. I don't think Ange knows, and I don't think the players themselves, because, being Manchester City twice, right? League Cup as well, being Villa, at the time where Villa were actually still good, I think, right? LME, this is not a dig, by the way.
1982.
No, but those are big wins for one. 4-0 at Manchester City, League Cup, as I've mentioned, and then you have Ipswich and Crystal Palace. And even today, such an indifferent performance at home, right? They scored, when Brennan Johnson scored, that was against the run of play, because just a couple minutes before that, 2 massive chances from Fulham. I think I wrote it down, Diop's header and Iwobi with that, if you remember, kind of turnaround back to goal, 2 good saves as well, and then boom, they go ahead 1-0. You think they're going to go from strength to strength, if nothing else. Fulham, who's been very, very good this season and very steady, right? At least with Fulham, for example, I know what to count on. Spurs, for me, just need stability and results. That's just that. Forget the performance, but stabilize the performances. Win the games you're supposed to win. If you get a big win like Man City, okay, that's a bonus right now. But they've been just way too much up and down. And, Ange, as much as I love him, he's been there for a while right now. So I think we can expect that from him.
LME, take us to the top of the hour. You've got 30 seconds to wrap up Spurs against Fulham so we don't miss kickoff at Anfield.
Oh, very quickly. Just incredibly inconsistent. The messages has been done from Ange Postecoglou. He wants consistency. It's not getting. And by the way, the Roma game during the week really showed that, because the system that they have to play demands so much. Heung-min Son started in that game. Brennan Johnson started in the game. And now you have to do the same thing in the next few days. So something has to give, but they need consistency. It's still not happening.